Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow. Who cares where we gotta be? You know you'll have a good time wherever you're with me. Let's take it slow.
How's it going, everyone? Happy Sunday. I am exhausted. So this week is exam week, and we actually have new material we have to cover this week, which is like pharmacology stuff, which is already pretty difficult looking, and I still don't feel like I have a good grasp on the last 2 weeks of content, which was immuno and microbiology. I've been doing all the resources. I've done the pathoma, I've done the sketchy, but I'm just having a hard time really getting it to stick. I feel like I've gone through multiple passes of this material, but every single time I do practice questions, it's really just not coming back to my head. All these little details are just slipping through the cracks. And so today I kind of just spent the whole day doing practice questions to kind of try to up my confidence a little bit. And honestly, it was an exhausting day. I'm glad I kind of spent the day doing it rather than moving on, because I think if I would have moved on to tomorrow or this week's material, I wouldn't have really spent the time making sure that I have an okay idea, which at this point, I just don't have the time to keep going back. And I pretty much have to focus this week on practice questions. So the goal for tomorrow is to just binge all of this week's new material. And then the rest of the week is all just practice questions, and anything that I can kind of go back and cover again through practice questions, you know, that'll be when I get the next pass on it. Otherwise, I just really don't have the time. But speaking about the new material, I'm gonna go make my pass tracker right now so that when I start all this stuff tomorrow, I'm nice and organized. So as you guys can see, I've got Notion on the left and I've got my school's pass tracker on the right. So I'm basically gonna go through and I'll put all the concepts, equations, drugs, and boards and beyond videos into my pass tracker. That way it's nice and organized. All I did was copy and paste last week's template, so I'm just gonna replace everything with this week's stuff. And I'm done. I've got the concepts here, I've got the equations, the antibiotics I have to learn, the immunosuppressants I have to learn, and I've got all the boards videos that I have to watch. Hopefully I can finish them all tomorrow, if not maybe like Tuesday morning, with all the links so that I can just click it and go straight to it. Anyways, I have an anatomy quiz in the morning, and it's just gonna be a long day in general because of all the stuff I have to learn, so I'm gonna head to bed and I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. Good morning, I got an A on my quiz, and now I'm gonna start going through new material. All right, it's taken me about 3 hours to get halfway done because I've been writing notes and I've been annotating in first aid, and I've been doing the Anki cards after every video. Okay, so I just finished going through all the boards and beyond videos, and honestly, I feel like I retained all the drugs poorly. Not only that, but I didn't necessarily cover all the drugs I have to learn for this punch list, but I don't think I necessarily have the time to go through everything. I think I'll have to find them in first aid and review them, but to memorize every single little detail about every single one, I think is gonna be difficult. I think I just have to like learn them by their broad overall idea and mechanism, but I still have to do a bunch of practice questions because I'm still weak on like the microbiology, I'm still weak on immunology, and the exams are 4 days. So I would think that all I can really do at this point is just practice questions, and that's pretty much the plan, is just to like fill in my gaps through anything I get it wrong on practice questions. I want to read through first aid and see if I can fill in any gaps that I see in there, and then I want to do like a read through of pathoma before the exam and just kind of go through my notes for that, and maybe just watch like Ninja Nerd or something to fill in some gaps of immunology. But for now, I'm gonna lay down for like 10 minutes and just rest my eyes because I've been staring at a computer screen all day. All right, I just got out of the shower. I feel a little bit more refreshed, but I'm still pretty exhausted. But my buddy DePaul from school is coming by. We're just gonna drill practice questions all night. We're gonna go on Kaplan, which is a resource I wanted to get through before the exam anyway. So hopefully I feel better after that. We're literally just gonna spend a few hours grinding. I think we're gonna grab food first, and then maybe like some coffee, and then we're just gonna grind for a few hours. So hopefully it's pretty productive. It's past 1 in the morning. DePaul just left. I think we did like over 200 practice questions. It went okay. I definitely think we learned a lot from them. But we're definitely getting exhausted at the end there. So I think I'm gonna give myself until like 8 a.m. to sleep in because I'm exhausted. And then I'll just try to get up and grind before I have to go to campus for PBL. So I'll catch up with you guys in the morning. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how much I just slept in. I was so exhausted last night, and I'm gonna try to get up, do some reading, maybe some pathoma, and then I have to head to campus at 1. So I'm gonna see what I can do before then. Yo, this is not okay. I think this is also another weakness I'm having with this exam, is on the first exam, I was really good about Anki. And then this exam, there was just so many cards that I had a really hard time keeping up with it. And so there's a lot of days where I was just letting the cards go over or just limiting the amount of review cards. And I think my weakest part about this exam was just not having done a whole bunch of Anki. And so a lot of these little facts just never stuck in my head. I'll definitely try to get through as many cards as I can today, and also just try to spend this weekend catching up on Anki, since I don't want this to kind of be like this, you know, cascade effect of just being behind on it. Now I'm just switching off between Anki and reading through pathoma to give myself a last pass on this pathology material. And now I have to go to campus for PBL. Okay, so I'm about to leave campus right now. I had PBL and then I stuck around for a couple hours to do some practice questions with some peers. However, we decided to just call it a night because we were all at just very different points of our understanding of the material. We're confident in some things and then we're not confident in others. And I feel that way exactly. Like I feel very not confident about the microbes and the drugs because I just haven't spent a whole lot of time with it. I need to go back through Sketchy, and then there's all these drugs we had to learn this week in pharmacokinetics, which I've barely looked over besides boards. I need to watch my lectures from class that are recorded and posted, which I'm going to do tonight, and hopefully that helps. But just reasonably, like I don't know that I'll be able to like get through everything before the exam. There's just so much of it. I've been behind on Anki, which I think is a huge weakness for me with this exam. Like the first exam, I feel like I was confident in the fact that I had done Anki and I wanted to like maintain it. But this exam, there's just so many cards. And then just on other material, I just feel so not confident. Like I'm just not doing well on practice questions, getting like average of 50%. It's just tough. But I'm gonna go home, and I think my goal for the night is just to stay up until I finish at least all of the recorded lectures from yesterday and today. And hopefully I feel a little bit better after that. I know it's already nighttime, but I had to bust out the iced coffee. All right, I just finished today's lectures and I'm gonna try to make another dent in my Anki pile. I was able to bring it down to 700 cards due. However, there's absolutely no way that I'm gonna bring it down too much more, but I'll probably spend maybe like another hour on it. Okay, I did as many Anki cards as I could, but now I'm exhausted, so I'm gonna head to bed. I'm gonna try to wake up early and get Anki started in the morning before I go to class at 8, and then I'll kind of figure out the rest of the day after that. But for now, I'm gonna head to bed. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I tried waking up at 6. My eyes did not want to open. And now it's time for class. Oh my gosh, I'm so stoked. Our class got out a little bit early, so I have about an hour to just grind out some Anki cards before my next class at 10. And time for my next class. Okay, I just got done with class, and I think today needs to be a day where I just go over the microbes and the pharmacology that I'm just not comfortable with, and what I think is gonna be high yield on the exam. So I'm gonna go through a bunch of Sketchy basically, and just make sure that I have like these last minute like hooks kind of in my head, and then I'll probably try to end the day with practice questions. So right now I'm going through Sketchy so I can kind of review the microbes that I think are high yield on my exam. I honestly just love Sketchy. This is such an awesome resource. Okay, I'm gonna take a break from Sketchy to do some practice questions that my school sent us.
Is this of me? It's not.
We are still going. I am exhausted. I've been switching off between first aid, Sketchy, and practice questions. I think I've got it in me to keep going till 12, but I'm not feeling too great right now. I'll update you guys in a little bit on how I feel. So besides all the studying I had to do, I also had to work on my presentation I have to give in PBL tomorrow, which this week it's Staph aureus. But I think I'm gonna head to bed now. It's already pretty late and I've got class tomorrow and then PBL. I don't know how much more I could study. I think my goal tomorrow will be to cover some of the drugs I need to know and then some of the pharmacokinetics and then just do some practice questions after PBL. And I think that's really all I can do at this point. But for now, I'm gonna head to bed. I'll see you guys in the morning. Good morning, everyone. So tomorrow is the exam. I'm super nervous. I've heard from a lot of upperclassmen that it's a tough one, and I don't feel very good about the material. It's all on stuff that I feel I'm just very weak on. I just had a hard time absorbing, but I'm gonna do my best. I'm probably just gonna study a lot of pharmacology stuff tonight, pharmacodynamics, pharmacokinetics, and then that's probably all I'll have time for, and then hopefully some practice questions. It's gonna be tough, but I'm just gonna push through it. I'm gonna learn from this. And do better on the next one, be more prepared. After every exam you'll learn kind of what to tweak in your study methods, and that's kind of what I'm trying to see it as. And so anyway, I've got class right now for Foundations of Clinical Practice, and then I've got to go pretty much straight to campus right after for PBL and get my presentation, and then we'll have to finish our case, and then I'll pretty much only have from like 4 to like the rest of the evening to study, which is tough because you usually want like the whole day before the exam, but it's fine. I'll do what I can. But anyway, I'm gonna head to class and I'll catch up with you guys in a little bit. Okay, so I just got out of class. We went over like the physical exam, which was a little bit tough because we were doing it basically over WebEx, and our professor was basically doing a physical exam with some of the med students over at the campus, which it's nice that they are still trying to do these things, even with COVID, still trying to like find ways to show us how to do this with the resources that we have, and it was really interesting. But anyways, I'm gonna make some food really quick and then do some Anki cards, then I'll have to head to campus for PBL. Natural.
Like it's been just shown on the table for a while. Try to enjoy my weekend.
Okay, so I just got home and I am exhausted. I stayed on campus a lot longer than I thought I was going to. A couple buddies and I just kind of wanted to go through some of the drugs and some of the, the bacteria and stuff. And again, I just stayed longer than I thought I was going to. I don't think I feel all that much better. I feel like I still have so many gaps in my knowledge and there's still a lot I don't know, but I'm just hoping that I know enough to pass. And we're gonna see. This content was just really tough for me. I just felt like I went through so many passes of a lot of the material and a lot of it just like never stuck. Like I just couldn't get it to stick. But we'll see how the exam goes. I'm not gonna spend too much time talking because I wanna have more time in the vlog to talk to you guys after the exam. So I'm gonna head to bed. I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. All right, my exam starts pretty soon and regardless of how it goes, I'm just excited to get it over with. So I'll see you guys after. Okay, so I just finished my exam and honestly, it was really tough. I felt like it was all on stuff I just had a hard time understanding, and I marked like 40 out of 60 of the questions. And even when I went back and looked at them, I didn't even know what to put really. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna lay down for a little bit and then just kind of like let it settle and absorb, and then I'll talk to you guys after. Okay, so I've kind of just been relaxing for a few hours, just kind of absorbing it. The exam was really hard. I don't know if I did, good enough to technically pass it. I probably marked like 40 out of the 60 questions. The topics were just things that I did not absorb well. I studied a lot of like bacteria and it was like mainly fungi. I didn't really have a chance to get into viruses. There was a lot of viruses. So just things that I just was not comfortable with. And going into the exam, I kind of knew I wasn't comfortable with. It was a tough exam, honestly, very, very tough. My classmates also seemed to all kind of agree that it was tough, so it makes me feel better knowing that I wasn't the only one who felt like it was very, very difficult. And it actually turns out we're not getting our grades today. So on the last exam, we got our grades like an hour later. And apparently this time we're going to be getting them next week because they want to factor in essentially like the curve, which basically means some questions get thrown out. These are like NBME style questions, and there's always questions that are a little bit like out of scope and are kind of seen as like bad questions, and it's kind of based on like the class performance per question, and they kind of go back and they analyze it. And so they're not putting out our grades today because they want to actually do all that so that our actual scores are what's reflected, which is fine. That just means I'll get my grades sometime next week. And I don't really need to think too much about it. No matter what, I feel like I learned a lot from this exam in particular. With the first exam, I felt like my weakness was that I hadn't studied enough per day. I had really bad stamina with studying. I only had like one pass in the material plus Anki, and that was kind of it going into the first exam. And then for this exam, I felt like I really studied a lot. Like I felt like more of my time was spent studying. I felt like my stamina was longer. And I used more resources. Like I got into Pathoma, I started Sketchy, and I really found that I enjoyed those resources. Granted, I had a hard time absorbing the material. I think even part of it might have been because on the first exam, I did Anki very well. And then on this exam, I did not do Anki very well. In fact, I was pretty much always behind on Anki because I just found it overwhelming to keep up with this time. And so I'm kind of seeing like, okay, like keep up with the Anki and then use multiple resources for the passes. And so that's something I'm going to keep going on forward with in mind. And I also think I need to start doing practice questions earlier. So with the last exam and this exam, I started doing practice questions about a week before. But I think I need to start like doing some practice questions, even with like more first order practice questions from like osmosis or even the textbooks, like the week I'm reviewing that material. Because I think what happens is when it comes to exam week and I start doing practice questions, I'm like, oh, I'm weak on all these things. And I'm finding out like the week before the exam, which is still honestly not enough time. And so I need to start doing practice questions like at the end of each week so I can actually see where my weaknesses are from the week prior or that week I'm on. And I think that'll be a lot more helpful with the upcoming exams. Overall, I'm very glad to be done with this block. This was the Introduction to Medical Sciences block. I'm moving on to MSS, which is musculoskeletal skin. And I think I'm going to enjoy systems more. I've heard from upperclassmen that systems is a lot I guess, better because you kind of have more of an idea of like the scope of what you're gonna have to know because it's kind of like within the system. Whereas these last 2 exams with the intro to medical sciences was like, there's like biochemistry, there's microbiology, there's pharmacology, there's all these things, but they're very broad. And you could go down a million rabbit holes and learn a lot of things you don't necessarily have to know. And that's, I think, what the hardest part about these exams were. And honestly, just a lot of stuff wasn't sticking with me very well. And I didn't really know where to put my focuses. So I think it's gonna be better. And that's what I've heard from upperclassmen is that it is better when you go into systems. So that's good. Anyways, I'm gonna take the weekend off and just relax. It's Labor Day weekend, so I don't have anything on Monday. Our anatomy quiz is until Tuesday, so I can kind of like chill a little bit. And I think right now I'm gonna go get a haircut, get my eyebrows threaded, kind of just like treat myself a little bit and just unwind. Oh, and by the way, someone pretty special is coming into town tonight.
Hi. Feels good to be back. Breathe that Vegas air.
Abs miss the plants.
Yes. I came to visit Philip Rico, not Sean.
All right, as you guys can see, Abs is in town for the weekend, so I'm pretty much gonna take the whole weekend off and we're just gonna relax. I think our goal is to watch all the Harry Potter movies this weekend.
Every single one.
Every single one.
It's gonna take like 20
hours. But thank you guys for joining me this week. I know it was a little bit of a stressful week, and hopefully I find out my exam score by the next vlog. So anyways, thanks for watching. I will see you guys next week.